What up, y'all? This your boy Ace here, and welcome to Ace's Angels, y'all, man. And we got to do this video, man, because so far, I gotta say it, man. Stephanie White is worse than Christie Size, bro. Worse than Christie Size, man. I already had my doubts about this hire, and I really didn't like how the team was forming. And I also, now seeing how she's actually coaching, it's brutal, man. It's absolutely brutal. And Stephanie White is one of those coaches, man, where she can only do well with a team that's already talented. Like, if she got a stacked team, a veteran team or something like that, if it's a rebuilding team or anything that she got to build from the ground up, man, she ain't looking like my boy Sidney Johnson of the Washington Mystics out here. Nah, she ain't looking like that. Or even Natalie Nakasi with the Golden State Valkyries. She ain't looking like that. She ain't looking like that. She needs a team that's already almost like championship ready. And that's how she's going to succeed. Now, am I saying most coaches need a team like that? Yeah, but there's some coaches that could get that team over the hump and not necessarily have the team that got so many veteran pieces of young players. I just brought up two examples for y'all. Look at Washington and Golden State this year. You know what I'm saying? Those are two young teams, bro. And, they don't have, like maybe the Valkyries a little bit more, got a little bit more of an older team, but definitely Washington has a younger team, man. And then you look at Stephanie White. If you look at Christie Size, like Christie Size for only 2 years in Indiana, 2023 and 2024, she had a young team. 2023, the team was even younger than that, than the last year team, and then last year you bring in Caitlin Clark, which is the difference, right? So I remember CWFB guys saying this quite a bit since last season. If you didn't even draft Caitlin Clark last year, you still was going to go to the playoffs. And I believe that because I've been a Fever fan since the Tamika Catchings days. And Stephanie White was actually on the assistant coaching staff. So I know me some Stephanie White. Like, nobody can tell me about no goddamn Stephanie White. Nobody can tell me about Stephanie White, bro. Absolutely nobody. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen her playing career and I've seen her coaching career. You know what I'm saying? And I wanted, because I've seen her for so long, going back to college, I wanted her to do well. But this is just the God's honest truth about her, man. It's just the God's honest truth about her. You know what I'm saying? So Christie Size, like I said before, that team in 2023 that they had assembled, if everyone could just stay healthy, because Nalissa Smith, a lot of people didn't get a chance to see Nalissa Smith play better. They didn't get a chance to see Grace Berger actually get minutes and look good in 2023. Lexi Hall was the only one who really transformed her game in 2024, because up until that point, like, I wouldn't say she was a draft bust, but Lexi Hall was definitely not living up to the billing of what she should have been. Let's just say that. Right? Let's just say that. And so, when you look at that team, man, the team that Stephanie White inherited, that was a young team that was, with or without Caitlin Clark, going to go to the playoffs last year. Now, are they a better team, much better team with Caitlin Clark? Fuck yeah. Ain't nobody gonna cap about that. But they would have went to the playoffs last year anyways. They were already coming together. Grace Berger was going to be even better last season. If you never drafted Caitlin Clark, Grace Berger was going to be on the next level. You know what I'm saying? And she was probably going to be the starting point guard, at some point last year. So you was going to be okay without Caitlin, but Caitlin was someone that you needed to bring in, obviously for business purposes, but you was bringing in a generational player. So that was like when Lynn Dunn made that suggestion, let's go get, it's real possible for us to tank and go get Caitlin Clark. You was going to do that, right? I would have did it. And I'm a Grace Berger fan. Am I going to choose Grace Berger over Caitlin Clark to build my team? I'm picking Caitlin Clark all day. I'm picking Caitlin Clark all day. And I'm way more of a Grace Berger fan than I am a Caitlin Clark fan, bro. But I got to admit it. You know what I'm saying? So, again, Lexi Hall is the main one who benefited from Caitlin Clark being here. Because she upped her game, gained her confidence, and started playing way better. You know what I mean? So that Indiana team was finally breaking through. They were finally breaking through. You had Aaliyah Boss and all that, you know? So with Christie Sides, now, is Christie Sides a perfect coach? Is she an ideal coach for someone that you want? No. And the thing about Christie Sides, she really didn't want to be a head coach. Was kind of forced into it. Right? She was kind of forced into it. She'd rather be an assistant. You know, when you're assistant, you're a little bit closer to the players. You know what I'm saying? And I think Christie was really comfortable in that role. Right? But she was brought in, kind of forced to be a head coach. She brought in her players. You know, from Atlanta, you know, E. Will, Christy Wallace, and all of them. Y'all know the story about that. And so, the salary cap got kind of messed up. You know, you overpaid for Katie Lou Samuelson and all this other stuff, man. But at the end of the day, Christie Sides did the best with what she had. She did the best with what she had. Now, last year, when Caitlin first came in, there was a struggle period. Everyone had to learn Caitlin and adjust. And the team was still young. So they were still adjusting to a lot of shit early in the year. Now, Christie Sides tried to change a little bit of Caitlin's game. And it really didn't work. But then Christie Sides figured it out and just was like, look, let's play Caitlin's way. And it worked. They started winning games and they snuck into the playoffs. They snuck into the playoffs. They had a great second half. They snuck into the playoffs. Then got swept by the woman that they eventually hired, Stephanie White, who had the more talented and veteran team and better defensive team. Now, the one thing I always say about Stephanie White is this. She is a pretty good defensive coach. Like, that's the one thing that she harkens on is defense. But when it comes to offense, it's trash. Connecticut's offense was trash last year. And Marina Mabry never came. That team, they may have lost to the Fever in the playoffs because it was Marina Mabry who was the biggest difference in that series. This girl was putting up about 30 points, just killing Kelsey Mitchell. Just killing that backcourt, bro. You know? So I went into last year. So let's say they didn't fire Christie Sides, right? I went into the following season. Y'all know I made my videos. I was saying who they need to replace Kelsey Mitchell with because I felt like she was a real problem on the team. And looking at this season, she's still a problem, right? She's still a goddamn problem. And when I was looking at the mental makeup of this team, I was like, man, there's not a lot that we need, but we can use a veteran or two. I would love to have Sophie Cunningham. I remember asking for Sophie Cunningham to be on this team. You know, rather she was a starter or a bench player. You know? Because what I would have did was, I knew they were going to keep Kelsey Mitchell. So what I was saying was, why don't you just make her the sixth man coming off the bench so she could provide that instant offense and score? Because that's her role. You know, she's not going to give you anything else. She's not going to play good defense. She's not going to pass the ball good. So what else is really Kelsey Mitchell giving you? You know what I'm saying? But, so I was making those suggestions, and then I was like, man, y'all can have a good draft. And this is before we trade the 8th pick to get Sophie, right? And at the time, I was really looking at Sonya Centron, right? I was looking at Sonya Centron. I was like, man, if we go get Sonya Centron, bro, we can do some things, right? Because we'll have a defensive anchor with her. We already got Lexi Hall, who plays hella fat defense. If we just bring her in, we'll be one of the best defensive teams in the league for the next few years. You know what I'm saying? So I was looking at those kind of moves. Then I was also looking at other offensive players that could play with Caitlin, like a Georgia A. Moore, Haley Van Lith, Serena Sundell. And then we still had Grace Berger as a backup player. And then I like what I was seeing from Victoria Saxton when we was playing her late in the year. So I was like, we did need too much. Add a veteran here and there. Maybe add 2 veterans. You could still add Natasha Howard if you wanted to. I really wasn't too into the DeWanna Bonner move just because of her age. And I knew, she didn't really play that well to me last year. But she was a lot better last year than she was this year. But she was already starting to decline last year on Connecticut. So I was more into getting Elena Deladon because I was like, if she come back, bro, that's a really good piece. But she ended up retiring. So it didn't matter. But I was like, man, we just need a couple of more, get some draft picks in here. Like, if we could have got Michaela Timpson because I knew we needed a backup big, and then go get you a backup guard like a Serena Sundell or Lucy Olsen. So, I was making those suggestions. And I was like, we don't need much. Maybe Christie Sides. When Christie Sides got out of the way and just coached the team in different ways, focus more on the defense and the other things and just let Caitlin run the offense. That's when I was like, okay, we really don't even need to make a coaching changes yet. We go in the next season, we could probably get to the second round. Then we hired Stephanie White. And I was 50-50 on it. I was happy about it at the time because I was like, maybe we needed an upgrade. But then I was watching a lot of videos. And there was some interesting stuff coming out about the Stephanie White thing, bro. I was watching quite a few people who was giving warnings about Stephanie White. They felt like she made an excuse. There was something that was going on with her family, and she stepped away, and that's how she got let go from or that's how she left the Connecticut Sun. And it sounded like she was trying to finagle her way to the Fever job, Now, I heard she was in rumors with, returning to Chicago. That was the team that she was an assistant coach on for the first few years of the Chicago Sky franchise. I think it was the first few years of the Chicago Sky franchise, late 2000s, because they came in around 2007. And so she was there for about 4 years. Then she went to Indiana. And so she was, like I said, she was in that situation, right? So we know that she was looking to come back home. She's from the state of Indiana. She was Miss Indiana basketball at one point here. You know what I'm saying? And she was a coach here. So we know she was looking to get her way back. And then they brought Kelly Crossboff back, and then brought in Amber Cox, who was with the Dallas Wings organization as GM. Right? And so it looked like there was people warning that it looked like they were, that they were all kind of clout chasing Caitlin Clark, right? They were coming here and they were going to put together this old team. They're going to try to win a championship right away. And when I started hearing it, I was like, I hope they don't do that shit. So I just stayed pat. I said, when January get here and all the off-season moves start getting made, January, February, I'll stay pat. I'll just, we'll see how it goes. So the Valkyries go get Tammy Fack Bentley in the expansion draft if we keep Grace Berger. I was like, okay, we cool. But I also didn't even really like losing Timmy because I felt like Timmy was one of the bigs that really played well with Caitlin, right? But I was like, you can replace Timmy. There's a lot of Timmys out there. Then we get to the offseason. This is where things got a little nutty at. So we go and get Natasha Howard. And I love that move. But one thing I was really cautious with Natasha was that her knees was old. And I was like, you know what? If you draft her replacement, maybe she could be here for about 2 years, right? You could bring her in. She's a pretty good big, solid big, You could bring her here, and then I was fine with that. And then we brought in Sophie Cunningham. I was ecstatic. I was like, okay, let's go. Let's go, Fever. And I thought we were going to be done after that. I said, maybe we might make one more move, But then I was like, man, I thought we was gonna be done right there. I said, you know what? We got Natasha Howard and Sophie Cunningham. Okay, I see what the Fever trying to do. You know, I wasn't surprised that they killed Kelsey Mitchell. You know, I rather they didn't, but you know, I wasn't surprised. I was expecting them to do that. So I was like, okay, let's get in the next season. Let's see how this goes. Let's see if we can take the next step. Now I was just and trading Alyssa Smith. I was like, okay, Alyssa Smith not a really good fit here, so I was asking for that trade too. You know what I'm saying? But I know Alyssa Smith's a pretty good player though. It's just that she wasn't a good fit here. So I'm like, okay, it's going pretty good. You know, we doing some right things. And then I think this the February the 2nd. We signed DeWanna Bonner. And I'm like, oh boy. This one thing started going south. So I knew we basically chose her over Elena Deladon. But like I said, at the time, Elena Deladon hadn't officially retired yet. So I was kind of like, I was bummed out. But I was okay with it. I said, if this is our last move, get DeWanna Bonner, okay. But the one thing I didn't like about that move was that now that we had Sophie, what happens to Lexi now? Is Lexi going to lose her minutes? Because I was starting to look at it, I was like, ain't no way Lexi going to be able to start. Ain't no, you got Sophie too coming in here. I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know, man. It started to look weird. And then they stick a fork in my goddamn heart. They waive Grace Berger. Now, I don't know how she officially left. I don't know if she asked to leave or someone forced her out of here or they just they were planning on making a change. So then a couple of days later, they announced the signing of Sydney Colson. That's when I was like, oh. Sydney fucking Colson. I was like, okay, this is... They're using Sydney Colson to replace Grace Berger off that fucking bench, bro. I was like, oh my God. They're making this team old as hell. Around Caitlyn. I was like, oh my God, what is we doing? Then you go get woke Breanna Turner. I was like, it was starting to turn into a nightmare. I didn't really get a chance to celebrate getting Sophie. The team was becoming old. I was like, oh my God. This is all Stephanie White. Stephanie White wants her veteran players, man. She want to win a championship. Her and Kelly Crossball, they want to win a championship right now. I was like, they ruining this shit. They're ruining this. So, it was starting to look like a woke-ass team, man. It was starting to look really woke. We only had 3 white players on the team. And I was like, it was no surprise because I'm like, Stephanie White got a black wife at home, bro. So I'm like, oh boy, here we go. Here we go, man. She like looking at these black females, bro. So I'm like, man, if this draft come and go and I'm not happy, bro, oh my God. So let's get the draft day. I got my picks that I want. Fever, I know where they picking at, 19 and 20. Now, I was hearing rumors that they might not be able to keep both picks. But I was still kind of like hoping that they would. Or that whoever they drafted, they're still making a pressure on them to keep them. Like, basically, that's what Tipson did. Tipson made an impression and was still able to stay on the team. So, the draft comes. So, Haley Van Lith, and Maddie Westbrook, 2 of the players that I wanted were gone. Pop House, another player that I wanted. She's gone. Pick number 19. I said they're probably going to draft a big. But as long as they use number 20 or 19, like I don't care which one it was. Go get Lucy Olsen and Serena Sundell, who were still on the board. Because they were still on the board. And I said, this is perfect for Indiana. They're going to draft one of these girls, bro. They get Timpson first. Okay, cool. I'm not too into the pick, but cool. You got grab Timpson, but I knew we needed a backup big. And I was surprised Timpson was still there because he was supposed to be a first round pick. So I'm like, it's setting up. Let's go get Lucy Olsen. Let's go get Serena Sundell, one or the other. They go and get Bree Hall. Boy, I was fuming. I was fuming after that. I said they just messing this whole draft up. We learned Bree Hall didn't even stay on the damn team. So let's get to this season. So we're only 4 games in. And it's starting to look the way that this one guy, he made a video. I'll never forget this one dude. I don't know who his name was because I didn't keep track of his video. You know how you just run through people's videos, you don't even remember who the hell you was watching you because you didn't subscribe to him right away or whatever. But this guy, he didn't make a lot of videos though when I went to his page. He only had like 2 or 3 videos up. But the one video he made was a whole rant about Stephanie White and what Fever fans should expect. He was saying, the title of the video, I remember this. It was something like, Fever fans are going to turn on Stephanie White. And boy, oh boy, did that happen. Boy, oh boy, did that happen. I knew the minute when I heard that she was going to try to have Caitlin Clark play off ball, which is not a bad thing, but it depends on the way you have it set up. Like Washington has it set up perfectly with off ball movement. Their players are constantly moving around, confusing the defense. But it's not just one player doing it. See, the problem is with the Fever too, you got that ball stopper, Kelsey Mitchell, who doesn't really pass and move the ball around that much. And so it looks terrible. And Cece's game is a little different because she likes to use a 2-man game with Aaliyah Boston. And then you keep Lexi, and then I wasn't sure they were going to have Lexi Hall in the starting lineup. Now, Lexi earned her starter minutes again, you know, letting people know you need to stop benching me for other players. That's what Lexi basically was telling Stephanie White, like, you need to stop benching players. I mean, you need to stop benching me for other players. Breanna Bonner, old as hell. The hell you benching me for her? So we're seeing this, and Caitlin's looking like a goddamn decoy. She's out of the game, out of rhythm when she's shooting. It's been a terrible start. I think it's worse than last year because this is supposed to be a much better Fever team than last year's team was. And it's looking like straight trash right now. Straight trash. Then we're watching Saturday's game versus the Liberty. It was already bad against the Dream the last 2 games. Then the Liberty game happens. And I'm seeing Sophie Cunningham not in the lineup late in the 4th quarter. Over Breanna Bonner. All Breanna Bonner was doing was getting rebounds. She was doing nothing else. But missing shots on the other end. Key shots. Why wasn't Sophie Cunningham with her defensive intensity not on the court? Why was she not on the court? So I'm like, man, we gonna mess this up, man. We have really messed this whole thing up. We have really messed this up, man. Stephanie White is complete trash. And looking to be worse than Christie Sass. And I'm gonna tell you what, the Fever are going to win a lot of games this year. The Fever are going to win. They're still gonna have a shot at winning the title. But I'm not giving her any fucking credit. Unless I saw Stephanie White doing this with a younger team, I'm not giving her no damn credit. That's gonna be because the team figured it out on their own. Because I know they do all got to get used to playing with each other. But the decision she's making, she didn't challenge. I don't know if it's because we didn't have any timeouts. But there was just certain things late in that game where I felt like it was coaching. It was on it. Like, that was a coaching. Like, the 2 times we lost this season so far, 2-2, both on coaching. That's just bad coaching, bro. This lady cannot beat. She still cannot beat Sandy Brondello, who still owns her. Sandy still owns her, bro. Like, that's crazy when you think about it. The same lady owns you. Nothing has changed. She still owns you. Like, that's nuts. Then we got this weak girl named Bree Turner on the team. Woke Turner. Jonquel Jones stands up for the Fever's fan base. Meanwhile, one of our own players talks down about the fan base and backs up Angel Reese. Go play with Angel Reese in Chicago then, bitch. Get off this damn team, you fucking woke bitch. Bringing players like that around Caitlin knowing damn well her fan base ain't fucking woke like that. Even if Caitlin herself is a woke person, it don't fucking matter. The fan base is what the fan base wants. Yo, I'm telling you, man, it's probably gonna get worse from here, man. We're gonna be doing another video just like this, but I'm telling you, I'm warning y'all, man. I'm warning y'all right now. We probably should have kept Christie sassy. I'm gonna end it right here, man. Go on ahead and give this video a like, share, subscribe. Thank y'all for watching. Aces Angels, y'all.